No, not in our line. Of course, in the Buddhist line, there's so many like that. It's in Sanskrit. It's called mauna. Mauna means silence, and when you make a vow to not speak, that's called vrata. Vrata means a vow, so it's called mauna vrata, a vow of silence. But in our line of Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we wouldn't be doing that because we make a vow to talk to everyone about Krishna. That's our vow.
How that be possible?
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya, like me, right? You can't shut me up. My wife have to keeps telling me, stop, and I don't want to stop. So because Lord Chaitanya, very famous instruction from Lord Chaitanya, Yare Deka Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh Omaragnaya Guru Hana Tare Desh. So that's Bengali from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, saying that wherever you go, whoever you meet, just instruct them in Krishna's teachings, which is, of course, the Bhagavad Gita. In this way, become a spiritual master and deliver everyone in the land. So that's a very famous instruction, Lord Chaitanya, instructing all of his followers to become gurus. Actually, so the idea is that we don't always remain just a disciple as such, but that the disciples, when we become trained up and you know what Krishna's instructions are, then the people that you meet in your life, you talk to them about Krishna and try to enlighten them in Krishna consciousness, answer their questions, help them to progress spiritually, and that way become a guru like that. So, and that, of course, is called parampara, right? That's the disciplic succession. You have the disciple of the spiritual master. In due course of time, that disciple becomes a guru. They have their own disciples, and then in due course of time, those disciples, they have become a guru, and like that. So then that way the knowledge gets passed down. So yeah, in our line, you talk as much as you can, but about Krishna. The idea with the Mauna Vrata is if you have a habit of talking all nonsense,
like me,
rubbish things, mundane materialistic stuff, then better you shut up. Better don't talk. So that's the principle there. And there's that famous, they've recorded Prabhupada's voice, and they put it on the Japa tape, some of the Japa tape CDs now, where Prabhupada says, don't talk nonsense, chant Hare Krishna. So that's a famous thing that Prabhupada said, don't talk nonsense, chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, so we wouldn't stop talking, but we would be chanting Krishna's names and talking about Krishna's pastimes and so forth like that. And if you didn't have anything to say about Krishna, then better zip your lip. Don't just talk, mundane stuff, which is, if you talk mundane things, materialistic things, which normally, if we talk materialistic things, what do we normally talk about?
money.
Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Usually negative, right? Like normally what people like to talk is gossip. We call that gossip, right? The mundane kind of talk, we call that gossip. Gossip is normally bad stuff about people, right? You don't normally talk back good things about people, do you? Normally when you hear people talking about each other and stuff, normally they talk negative things, or bad stuff. So, but talking all that mundane gossip and talk is called prajalpa in Sanskrit, prajalpa. So you can look at the nectar of instruction, and in the verse there's a verse, the second verse, from memory, the second verse, Satyahara Prayasascha, the prajalpa niyamagraha. So the second verse says 6 things that destroy bhakti. 6 things that destroy bhakti. So one of them is prajalpa, is talking mundane talk.
Can you spell it? Prajalpa?
Yeah.
Hang on.
P-R-A.
Why don't let me get... Sorry.
P for purple, like your shirt is purple. P for purple. R for Rama. A for Arjuna. J for jet. A for apple.
LPA?
Yeah, LPA. Yeah, LPA, prajalpa.
And it means, sorry, what's
It means gossip or mundane
gossip?
talk. Mundane talk, you know, not related to God or anything constructive, spiritual like that. Just it's usually fault finding. Usually mundane talk is like fault finding, criticizing others, fault finding like that. So nothing. Of course, constructive criticism is okay.
Yeah.
But not destructive for no benefit like that. One time, Prabhupada was in a room and he heard some devotees talking in the next room. He heard them through the wall, he could hear. And one devotee was criticizing another devotee to another devotee. So he was talking to another devotee, but the subject was criticizing another devotee. So Prabhupada told his servant in the room, go into the room and tell them to stop immediately. He said, this will destroy, you know, hear what I'm saying. This will destroy the movement. Can you believe it? Not only, they didn't say this will just destroy the devotee that's talking rubbish, but he said this will destroy the movement. Because this kind of thing, this kind of energy, if it spreads, is very destructive. How it's destructive? One reason why it's destructive is that Krishna's not happy, you know, that we, you know, unnecessarily criticize devotees, because Krishna loves the devotees, right? So if you criticize devotees, then Krishna's not happy. And if Krishna's not happy, then your spiritual life is out the window, you know. So another reason is that it's very addictive, you know, talking this mundane talk and gossip. So you can spend like hours and days and your whole life in that way, just talking mundane stuff. And that takes us away from what devotees are supposed to be doing with their lives. You understand? What are devotees supposed to be doing with their time and their days and everything?
Putting their efforts into Krishna.
Yeah, and especially, like we said, Yaro Deka Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh, especially into like outreach or preaching activities, sharing Krishna with others, you know, helping others to become Krishna conscious. I mean, if some good soul didn't reach out to me, I wouldn't be here today in Krishna consciousness, you know. It's only because someone took the effort to go outside the temple boundary and connect up with foolish, atheistic, ignorant people like me, you know, and talk to me about Krishna, and you know, and I got attracted to it. You know, so that's what we're supposed to be doing, you know, going out and doing Harinam, going out and distributing prasadam, going out and distributing books, going out and, you know, working even, and people at your workplace, you know, you can talk to them about Krishna. I mentioned before that Jayanti, even when she worked in the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Auckland and government organisation, she would engage with her workmates and talk with them about Krishna. And often the conversation started because, you know, because she wore tilak,
Yeah.
even to work every day. I mean, I've never seen her, and since I've known her in about 12, 13 years, I've never seen her one day without tilak on. And the good thing with that is that, you know, people that don't know what it is, they get curious and they say, what's that stuff on your face? You know, so that starts a whole conversation like that. And because she looks a bit different than other people, and she dresses up in, you know, Indian clothes sometimes and stuff like that. And she's a vegetarian, and people ask her, you know, like at work, you know, well, they smell the food that she brings, the prasadam, and then they're like, wow, that smells really good. What's that? You know, so that starts a conversation. And she's distributed heaps of cookbooks at work, and then also philosophy like Bhagavad Gita's and Krishna book. Her boss, who owns a, try to get this right, I think it's to do with chickens, cooked chickens, a fast food. What's that? Oh, Subway. Sorry, not chickens. Yeah, which they do that, but other things. So Subway, he owned a Subway franchise. Huh? 3. She just said 3. So 3 subways. So that was on the side, and then he also was the boss of her department of internal affairs. But he took a Krishna book from Jayanti, and he would come to work and say, you know, Krishna's really naughty, isn't he? Or you know, Krishna lifted the mountain, or he's telling her some pastimes about Krishna, because that night before he just read Krishna book, you know, one story. So that was amazing, you know. So just, you can do it, you know, anyone can do it. And you know, so that's what we're supposed to be doing, you know, connecting people with Krishna, and it makes Krishna happy. But what the opposite which makes Krishna unhappy, is if we just talk about mundane stuff all the time, you know, not related to Krishna, and especially criticizing, and that's very bad. So that's what it is. That's what it is. So that's what we're trying to learn, you know, what it means to be a devotee. So that's great. That's why I'm very happy that you're getting together studying, you know. So you're coming together and you're talking about, you know, whatever the scripture is you're working on, you know, so which is all about Krishna. So that's great. You're coming together talking about Krishna. That's perfect. That's perfect. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's really good. That's really good. Would anyone like to say anything about that subject? Do you agree, disagree?
I agree.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. And also, if we talk, you know, mundane stuff, obviously that goes into our ear and into our heart, into our mind, into our heart. And then our heart gets full of all this materialistic junk. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, do you remember? To get rid of all the junk. Chaito Dapana Marjanam. You know, the chanting cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years. So if you're spending an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day, you know, whatever it is, removing junk, why put more in? You know, why put more? And you're like the elephant taking a bath, right? Throwing more mud after yourself after getting cleaned up. You know, so we throw more junk in. You know, and what is mundane topics is often, you know, it's related to money. You know, people just talking together. What do they do when they come together? They talk about money, or they talk about sports, you know, who won the rugby or whatever. Talk about what?
A government.
Talk about the government.
Yeah.
And talk about the opposite sex, right?
Yeah.
You know, the boys talk about girls, girls talk about boys and stuff like that. Or like I say, you know, you criticize people and stuff like that. But that all stuff goes in our hearts. So even if you criticize someone, right, they're not there, right? You wouldn't criticize them if they were there. You'd get punched in the head. You know, so normally we criticize people not in front of them, right? But, you know, to someone else. And but you're not actually hurting the person you're criticizing, right? Because they're not there. Who are you hurting?
Yourself.
Well, you're hurting the person that's listening to you, because you're injecting them with all kind of, you know, unwanted junk. And you're hurting yourself the most, you know, because you're hearing it too. You know, you're speaking it, you're hearing it. And actually you're getting the karma for it. You know, you're getting the reactions for it like that, So, of course, if you're speaking something truthful about someone, which might not be sometimes very palatable, but it's truthful, and you're speaking it with the idea of it being beneficial, you're trying to benefit the person or help the person, like that, that's okay. Then that's not prajalpa. You're actually speaking truthful words, and you're trying to benefit the other person. You're not just trying to pull the other person down. Of course, if you speak truthful stuff, but your aim is to pull the person down, then that's not desirable either. But like that. So we just have to be very careful with what comes out of the mouth. It should be, you know, something that's beneficial. I mean, the most beneficial thing is to chant God's names, of course. But even if other things, then it should be some benefit to us, benefit to the person that's hearing, benefit to the person you're talking about. Then we should speak that. Otherwise, Maunavata, Bob, Maunavata, be silent. Don't talk nonsense. Chant Hare Krishna. Yeah.
I think
So. Yep.
like in other or religions or traditions and things like that, the reason for they have the silent retreats and things like that is to go within and like shut the chatter of the mind and all those sorts of things. And but then, you know, that it makes you think about the Bhagavad Gita in the way that Krishna said, you know, he will reveal himself within your heart. He will tell you things, and that's through all the processes of the devotional service, and for us, silence isn't one of them. So I guess that that's
no, but what you're saying is true. That, you know,
like I think that does that make sense? I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. You know, if you stop talking, it can give you a chance to think very deeply about some particular subjects.
Yeah.
So that is positive, can be positive.
Yeah.
Of course, but what if you don't have anything to think about, you know, that's positive? Then you could run into trouble, you know, because you can't keep the mind empty.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, the mind, the nature of the mind is always to be active. Like Arjuna said, right? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna in the 6th chapter 34, that the mind is like the wind, you know, it's always moving around. There's so many desires like that. So to try to stop the mind from desiring and everything is like you're trying to, you know, stop the wind. But the real thing is to have spiritual desires, and that's what we do. We don't try to stop the materialistic desires, but we convert them into spiritual desires. Instead of, I desire to please my senses, okay? But I want to change that to now I desire to please Krishna's senses. Yeah. You know, so there's still desiring going on, which is happening in the mind. You know, the mind, what is it doing? Thinking, feeling, and willing. So you can't stop that going on, thinking, feeling, and willing. Is even when you're asleep, right? The body's shut down, but the mind is still working in the form of dreams, right? So the mind is 24/7 going. So to try to stop that, you know, it's a very difficult process. It's not recommended. And but what is recommended is to convert those, you know, that thinking, feeling, willing process into related to Krishna. So you're thinking about Krishna, and you're willing, thinking and feeling, and your feelings also in relationship with Krishna, with love for Krishna and everything like that. And
thinking, willing, and
feeling is in the middle. Feeling. First, the thought comes. Like, I'll give you an example. The thought comes, ice cream. It's a hot summer day, and the thought comes into your mind, oh, it'd be so nice to have ice cream. And then you feel, then the feeling comes, right? You're licking, you can just feel that vanilla ice cream with hundreds and thousands and chocolate stick in it and everything. You feel what it would taste like, and it's very cooling when it goes down and everything. And then you will. So willing means then you get the money and you get your car keys, you jump in the car and you go to the dairy and you buy it. You know, then action. So thinking, feeling, willing, and then it comes into the body in form of action. But before any action, there's been some subtle activities going on in the mind. Thinking, you've thought about it, then feeling, some feelings there, and then willing. You've had a strong desire there to get it, and then it comes into action, into the physical realm. So, but that's true. You know, if you stop talking for a while, gives you a chance to reflect. That's called reflection, right? When you think deeply about some subjects. You know, what was Abai talking about yesterday? He was talking about this, and that's what it means. And, you know, so you reflect over what you've heard. You heard something, and then you reflect. But often people just continuously talking all the time. They don't have any time to reflect. So that's not good. So having some time, just silent time, just to think deeply about what you've heard or experienced or whatever, that can be useful too. But just silence followed by silence followed by silence followed by silence is, you know, what are you gonna reflect on? There's just the rantings of the mind. You know, you've got to have some positive subject to think about. The other problem with all that vipassana and everything, 10 days silent retreats and everything, it's all very good. you know, if you can manage to battle it out with the mind for 10 days without going crazy, that's all well and good. But even if you make it through the 10 days, like I know some people that it can only handle that silence for a few days or something, and then they just leave, you know, because it's just too much not being able to speak for 10 days. But yeah, some people make it right through. Some people love it. But the problem is, of course, what happens when you leave the Vipassana course and go back to society?
You're back to the same what you were.
Yeah, you're back to, and you haven't spoken for 10 days, so I've got a lot to talk about now. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So you probably make up for the 10 days you didn't say anything, you know, because that's the thing, you know, if you repress something, eventually it'll pop out, right? So after the 10 days of not talking, then you're really desperate. You know, a lot of people may be very desperate to talk, and then they're back to talking again. So like I said, it's like the elephant taking a bath. You know, you get clean and then you're dirty again. So you didn't talk your mundane rubbish for 10 days, but when you got back with your mates again, then you're back to talking rubbish. So what was the real value? All you did was you held it off for 10 days like that. But if you, like for a devotee, from the time they become Krishna conscious, they're stopping all talking rubbish, nonsense from that day. You know, for a decade or 20 years or 30 years or 50 years, they don't talk rubbish, you know, so that's, you're able to maintain that. So that's much better, you know, and that's the whole purpose of the Vipassana, is to stop, you know, talking all this negative rubbish. But that's automatically achieved, you know, by Krishna consciousness, automatically achieved. Yeah. Yes, Gulshan, you were saying something?
My brother did the Vipassana course, and now he's worse.
It's worse. Yeah, because I tell you, you know, if you take the mind on, it can drive you nuts. You know, it's just you and your mind for 10 days. You know, then it can backfire on some people. For some people, you know, it can be okay, but for others, yeah, it can drive them over the deep end. So yeah, this process of Krishna consciousness. I mean, Lord Chaitanya. The process that he brought to us, Lochan Das Thakur, in one of his bhajans says, Kevala Ananda Kanda, that it's simply a joyful process, chanting, dancing, and feasting. So this is what's recommended, and especially in Kali Yuga, when we're not very good at controlling our mind and senses and so forth, and our associations all bad and everything. The best process is this process of chanting and dancing and feasting, Krishna's prasadam and everything like that, associating with devotees. That's what's recommended. That's very joyful process, isn't it?
It is.
Like Friday night, what we used to have at the Bhakti Tree, man, that was jolly. That was a jolly good time, as we would say. A jolly good time. You know, and people were blissing out, you know, You know, I saw people, you know, when they walked out the door after that 3 hours or whatever, they were blissed. They were completely blissed out. And people would come up to me and tell me, you know, what a wonderful time they had, you know, the Friday nights. And that was the highlight. Many of them said that was the highlight of their week. You know, that was the best time in the week. Even you remember that lady that died there one Friday night?
I was there.
Yeah, she told me before she died that was her favorite day of the week, was Friday night, going to the Bhakti Tree and chanting Hare Krishna. That was her favorite night of the week. And Krishna fulfilled her desire, and she left. Straight after, she had kirtan. Then she was sitting down with her granddaughter, taking prasadam. She'd finished prasadam, and then she left in her chair, you know. So Krishna fulfilled her desire. So what an amazing process.
Favourite night. Friday nights was my favourite night.
Yeah. So
without a doubt.
Yeah, we'd all put our hands up. Yeah, it's a great, because that's Lord Chaitanya's formula. Chanting, we didn't do so much dancing. Sometimes there would be some dancing. But yeah, and feasting, you know, like that. And it's such a nice process. And everyone was happy, so happy. And most of those people that walked in the door were atheists, you know, or if not atheists, they were agnostics, you know. So, I mean, even that lady that died, she told me straight up, she said, there's no God. She said, there is no God. And the next sentence, I love chanting Hare Krishna. So, you know, it doesn't matter even. The chanting is so powerful that it doesn't even matter if you're not very intellectual or you don't understand about God or anything like that. You just chant. You know, even if an atheist chants, they can get the same benefit. You know, they can get the same benefits. It's so powerful. This Maha Mantra is so powerful. Amazing. What to speak of the benefit if you love Krishna. But even if you don't have knowledge about Krishna, if you chant, you're still going to get the benefit. So what an amazing process.
We're talking about trying to get some devotees from Sydney once a month now, starting soon. Yeah, to have a kirtan again once a month even. Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
The guy that does it down at Govinda's,
Yep.
They said that he could come up and do it once a month. So
Nice.
I'm hoping to be able to do that soon.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, work towards that. That's a lovely project.
Yeah.
That's very nice. There'll be a lot of people happy.
Well, so
in Newcastle if you can
That would
organise.
be a great move, that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Guaranteed bliss for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into our verse for today. This is a very very important verse of Bhagavad Gita, what we're doing today. Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, text 14. So this is a very important verse.
You haven't done the introduction yet.
Yeah. So we'll do that, and then we'll go on to this verse. Thanks, Bob.
It's a pain, aren't I?
No, not at all. Not at all. We can't get anywhere without offering respect to the spiritual master. So that's wonderful. I appreciate that. Om Agyanathamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Mamatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with shining torchlight, transcend knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances under his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yeah, so this text 14, Prabhupada spoke on this verse many, many times.
Is this, sorry, can I ask, is it text 11?
14.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think that's right.
Is it 14?
No, 7th chapter.
7:14. Sorry.
7:14. Yeah, that's
that
right.
Confused me.
That's right. It's a very important verse about how powerful the material energy Maya is. How powerful it is. Impossible to overcome, actually, unless we do one thing. What's the only way to get out of Maya?
Just to pray Krishna. Krishna will let you. No other way.
Yeah, that's pretty much correct. In the verse it mentions to surrender to Krishna.
That's it.
Surrender to Krishna. Yeah, so true. And prayer is part of that surrendering process. Yep. Okay, so let's read the Sanskrit. Daivi hya esha gunamayi.
Devi.
So the H gets joined on to the Daivi. So Daivi.
Yes.
Daivi hyesha. Daivi hyesha. So and then the Y joins on with the E. Yesha.
In it is a two different words. Devi is a different, and after it's
This is for singing it. This is the process we use for singing to make it flow.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't flow properly. If you go Daivi here, Aisha, Guna, Mai, then it doesn't flow. So you join it all together. Daivihesha gunamai.
Daivihesha
Mama maya daratyaya.
Mama Maya Duratjaya
Mameva ye prapadyante.
Mama Ye
Mayam mitam tarantite.
Mayam Tarantite.
Okay, Bob, would you like to read the translation, please?
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Yeah, so interestingly, I mean, this verse is talking about Maya, the illusory energy, but interestingly, Prabhupada's saying here divine energy. So how can the material energy be called divine? Does anyone know?
Is it because the divinity is inside you?
True, divinity is inside of us. And where does the material energy come from?
Are you talking about from outside?
You know, material energy, Maya, which
Yeah.
is made up of three modes,
Yeah.
said here, right? This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature. So this energy consisting of the mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. It's a material energy. It works in the material world. So why is it called divine?
It's the expansion of Krishna's energy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. This Prabhupada's saying that, right? This divine energy of mine. So this is Krishna speaking that it's his energy. So Krishna is divine. No one would argue that, right? Krishna is divine. He's spiritual. So whatever comes from him, get this. So what Krishna is spiritual, completely spiritual, right? Whatever comes from him is spiritual also, right? From his point of view. From our point of view, we see this is matter and this is spirit. We make a distinction, right? This is the material world, that's spiritual world. That's material energy, that's spiritual energy. From Krishna's point of view, does he see that like that?
Obviously, no.
This is spirit. This is good, this is bad. This is mine, this is yours. Does he see these dualities?
I'm thinking no.
No, he doesn't, because from his point of view, it's all his energy, right? From Krishna's point of view, spiritual energy, material energy, it's all just his energy. It's all his energy. So it's divine energy from Krishna's point of view. It comes from Krishna. So we should also understand that Maya also is a spiritual energy. It's a divine energy. Why do we call it material? Because when we're in illusion, when we're in ignorance, we forget Krishna. Maya means we've forgotten that this energy comes from Krishna. If I forget that this cup is Krishna's energy, that's Maya. I see it as material. This is just a material cup, and the water in it, I've drunk it anyway. But say there was water in it, I see that as just material water. But actually, if I was Krishna conscious, I would see that this water is spiritual. It's a spiritual energy. It comes from Krishna. And the cup is also spiritual. And the hand that's holding the cup is also spiritual because it comes from Krishna. But if you forget Krishna, then it's a material hand and a material cup and a material water. You get the idea? So the object's not changing, but how you are perceiving it, right? One way is to perceive it in Krishna consciousness, right? Well, what movement are we in? The Krishna conscious movement. So we're supposed to be Krishna conscious. Like Gulshan's drinking now, he was thinking about Krishna when he took that sip. Weren't you?
And who's drinking? Krishna, because my body is Krishna's made my body. Krishna is drinking Krishna.
No, well, not exactly, but yeah, well, in one sense, but
Yeah.
we see it as Krishna's energy, you know. So Krishna's energy is drinking from the cup, which is also Krishna's energy. But we wouldn't say that it is Krishna. That, you know, my body is Krishna's energy, but that doesn't mean my body is Krishna.
Part and parcel.
But part and parcel of. In one sense, it is, because in quality it's the same. This is our philosophy the Lord Chaitanya gave us, called Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. That simultaneously we are one and different to God. That we are one. In what way are we one with God? In quality.
In
quality.
equality.
Yeah. Krishna is eternal, we are eternal. Krishna is conscious, we are conscious. Krishna is full of bliss, and our nature is also to be blissful. But the difference is in quantity. That he is very big and we are very, very small. Do you know who knows how small we are?
Well, it's what's it says that what's the 1,000 what's the tip of the hair 1,000 times.
Close. Multiply that by 10.
Yeah, that's right.
1/10,000th
of
the thickness of the tip of the hair.
That's right, yeah.
The tip of the hair is even less than the hair, right? You got that?
Yeah.
The tip of the hair is just minute. You know, the tip of the hair. So we're 1/10,000th that size, you know.
You can't see from the eyes.
Yeah. So we wouldn't say that Krishna is drinking from the cup, but we would say Krishna's tiny energy is drinking from the cup. But it's intimately related with Krishna. You can't separate it from Krishna. That's what we call parcel.
Ocean.
Say that again. I didn't hear.
A drop of ocean, still an ocean.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, a drop is still the ocean, but tiny part of it. Yeah. But we can't go around thinking we're the whole ocean. That's not correct.
No.
Yeah. Yes, so that's why it's mentioned that Maya is the divine energy, because it comes from the divine source. It comes from Krishna. So if a devotee remembers that, then this divine energy is not going to be creating illusion for us. Do you understand that? What's the significance of remembering that all of this energy around us is Krishna's energy? The significance is that we won't be overcome by Maya, by illusion. If you forget that everything around us is connected with Krishna, you're going to be victimized by Maya, victimized by illusion. So let's look at another important verse in the Bhagavad Gita which clarifies this teaching. 4th chapter, text 35. And this comes after a very important verse, 434, which says that just try and learn the truth by approaching a bona fide spiritual master, inquire submissively from him, render service unto him. Self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this verse is a famous verse which talks all about how one needs a spiritual master, should approach a spiritual master. So, but the next verse, that's the famous one, text 34. But for me, I find the following one is equally as important. It's a very powerful verse. Would someone like to read this one?
Having obtained real knowledge from the self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine.
Yeah, for me, this is powerful knowledge, you know. So why we approach the spiritual master? What for? To get knowledge. Okay. What is the conclusion or the culmination of the knowledge we're supposed to get from the guru? What is the essence of that? That's mentioned in this verse. And this is
we're a spiritual soul, do you mean?
yeah, that we're a spirit soul,
Yeah.
but that we are part of the Supreme, and every other spirit soul is too. So everything is part of the Supreme. Or Chris is saying here, they're minds. It's my energy. So this is the knowledge, and this knowledge is what frees us from Maya. You're never going to, like it's saying here, you'll never again fall into such illusion. How is it possible that you're in the material world, but you'll never fall into Maya? How is that possible? You have to know. You have to know that everything, every single thing, there's not one thing that exists. Every single thing is part of Krishna. Everything's intimately related with Krishna. If you think there's something that's not related to Krishna, what do we call that? That thought, that mentality, that mindset where you think there's something that's not connected to Krishna. What do you call that?
Maya? Is it
That's
Maya?
Maya. That's what Maya is. Someone asks you, what's Maya? What does Maya mean? That's what it is. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Go for it.
You were too quick for me when you said to turn to. You said 435, didn't you? And 436.
No, 434. So
434. Okay, got it.
they're connected to each other, these two verses, because
Yep, got it. I was one out. Yep, got it.
the 434 is telling the importance of approaching a guru to get knowledge, and then 435 is telling us what is the knowledge that you will get from the guru. And
Yep.
This is the conclusion or the culmination of all that, learning you receive from the guru is to realize that everything is intimately related with God, with Krishna. Everything's part of Krishna. Even the four-legged fella, the four-legged fella there.
He's got his toy. He wants to play with his toy.
Yeah. Why does the dog want to play? Why do we want to play? Do you know why that is?
Krishna
Why does the dog want to play?
Because the
Why do
dog
we
wants,
want to play?
she has to get another dog.
Krishna likes to play.
Yeah, that's why. Because Krishna likes to play, and we are part of Krishna, so we also want to play. Put up your hands if you want to go to work. No one's going to do that, because that Krishna doesn't work. You understand that? Why we don't like to work? Because Krishna doesn't work. He doesn't like to work. He's just playing, and that's why we like to play, because he likes to play. So it explains everything when you understand that. When you understand your relationship with Krishna, and everything else has a relationship with Krishna, then everything fits into place. Now I understand why I never liked to work, and now I understand why I always like to play, so it all fits into place. Of course, for a devotee, there is no such thing as like work that we don't like to do, because everything that we do, we do it for Krishna's pleasure. So for us, there is no kind of ordinary work. Everything is an opportunity to serve Krishna. So it's not the same as what we, like if we go back to before Krishna consciousness, we probably didn't like to work, and we like just, playing around on the weekend or whatever. But now in Krishna consciousness, then we can enjoy whatever we do, all the time, because we do it out of love for Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna.
It's so hard to fathom that we're so small, but then Krishna has the ability to have this, real relationship with all of us, and there's so many of us, so many souls. I think that's so hard to fathom that, because I don't know about anybody else, but I think I'm so important. You grow up and you think you're just you're the center of your own universe. You know what I mean? Everything's about you, and yeah, it's just so hard to fathom that
Hmm.
Krishna can have that, you know, and we're so tiny. We're really so tiny, even though we think our world's so important. We're just such a small part of the whole thing, and that Krishna has a relationship with every living entity, every soul. Yeah. Anyway.
So what's the answer then? How can he do it? How can he have a relationship with every soul at the same time? In the spiritual world, he's doing that.
He's a manufacturer. He's a manufacturer. Of course, he has got to be in relation with everyone. He's, you know.
Yeah, but how is he able to simultaneously have relationships going
Because
on?
he never runs out of energy.
True. And what does he do to be able to be with unlimited souls at the same time?
Because he's omnipresent.
Yes, that's the answer.
Sitting on the top.
So he's expanding himself. He's
Sorry?
He's expanding himself. We call that, right, in biblical terms, omnipresent. Omnipresent, right? That God is omniscient means he knows everything, and he's omnipresent means he's present everywhere. So even when Krishna came to, we know, of course, the super soul, Paramatma, is present in the heart of every living entity. So he's intimately, there's no person closer to us, and we're in the heart, right? The soul's in the heart. There's no one closer to us, not even our mum, our dad, our kids, our friends, whatever like that, the cat, the dog. There's no one closer to us than the super soul, because the super soul's also with us in the heart. So there's two souls in the heart, not one. There's two. There's our self, the soul, individual soul, 1/10,000 thickness of a hair. And then there's the super soul there. God is there. Krishna has expanded himself there in the heart. And he's our best friend, and he's always guiding us and trying to direct us in the right direction. Of course, we usually ignore his direction, but still he's trying to guide us and direct us in the right way, try to give us good intelligence and everything like that. And additionally, I'd like to add to that some more detail. There's even more than two souls in the heart, because Krishna is never alone. And Prabhupada explains this in one place in the Bhagavatam, that Krishna in the heart has many of his devotees with him. That's far out, isn't it? So there's a whole party going on in our hearts. You know, Krishna's there with all of his devotees who are, you know, in the form of the super soul, and they're glorifying him and serving him and everything like that. And that's all going on in our heart. You know, so it's not that Krishna's all alone, no, like that, and we're just ignoring him, but he's got his own devotees there in each of our hearts. So that's mind-blowing, that's far out. But even when, apart from the super soul, right, which is one expansion of Krishna, but Krishna himself, God himself, when he comes to this world, like for one example is that, okay, there's 16,108 women that became so attracted to Krishna, and they wanted their only desire was to have Krishna as their husband. So Krishna fulfilled their desire, and he accepted all of those 16,108 beautiful women, princesses, as his wives. So how was he able to do that, to satisfy all of them? Because it's not that, okay, I'll be with one wife one day, and one wife, next wife tomorrow, next wife the next day, like that. So every 16,108 days, he's with a wife. But he didn't do that, did he? How did he satisfy every single wife at the same time?
He expanded.
Yeah, expand himself. So there's 16,108 Krishnas.
Yeah.
16,108 Krishnas were with 16,108 wives.
16,109, because one with the Radha.
Well, no, that's again, you know, so then Krishna's also in Vrindavan. So that was going on in Dwarka, but Krishna was also in Vrindavan, you know, in the hearts of all the gopis and satisfying them there.
Countless.
And so that's Krishna's potency, that he can do like that. He can be many places doing many different things. And there's a whole chapter in Krishna book where Narada Muni goes from palace to palace to see what's going on. You know, how is Krishna dealing in Grihastha ashram and family life? And his mind gets blown away because every palace he goes to, Krishna's doing different things with his families. It's not that he's doing the same, well, they're all expansions of the same Krishna, right? So they're all got to do the same thing like a robot. No, not like that. So he mentions, like, in one palace he went to, Krishna's playing with his grandkids. Another palace, he's playing chess with, one of his children. Another place, he's doing a fire sacrifice. Another one, he's going for a swim in the pool. You know, like that, different things in every palace. You know, another one, his wife is fanning him with a peacock fan, like that. So personal, so sweet, and every wife was completely satisfied. So this is what Krishna consciousness means, to realize that I can only find happiness with Krishna. He's the only one that can satisfy me, isn't it? We tried to get satisfaction from so many relationships and we never did, before Krishna consciousness. And no one can fulfill all our desires, and neither can we fulfill anyone else's desires, doesn't it? Like a husband may work his backside off for so many years and that for his wife and kids. Are they satisfied?
Not necessarily, no.
No, not necessarily. Mostly they're not. Like, and Prabhupada mentions, like, if, for example, after serving the wife and kids for many, many years, if the husband says one day, now will you let me go and take sannyas, and then I'll go and preach? Will the wife say, yep, I'm satisfied by your service? She'll say, no way, you have to do more. You haven't finished yet. You haven't finished all your work. There's still more work
the woman
to do.
is a Maya.
What's that?
Woman is a Maya, is what you're saying?
Well, yeah. If the woman is acting as Maya, then yes. I mean, of course, if you have a pure devotee wife, then she may humbly accept that. I mean, she won't like it still, but she may humbly accept that, yeah, that's your duty to do that, like that. So, but generally, we're never satisfied by other relationships and by other people serving us. And generally, the service we do for others doesn't satisfy either. But the beautiful thing, one of the beautiful things in Krishna consciousness is that Krishna has unlimited capacity to satisfy unlimited souls at the same time. So every single one of those 16,108 wives was completely satisfied. And yet we can't even satisfy one wife like that. So that's the difference, Krishna's unlimited. So definitely we should come into that, Krishna's family. And Krishna will be satisfied by whatever service we do. And also we will be satisfied by Krishna's grace, by Krishna's love. He's like an unlimited, imagine an unlimited reservoir of love. We have a massive capacity for wanting to receive love. Imagine our hearts as like a big container. And we're searching for so much love. It's like a big container. We want that to get filled up with love, to feel loved and to give love. That desire is there. But we're just getting a few drops in the form of mundane friendships and family and love and so forth, society, a few drops. So we're never satisfied. But Krishna is like an ocean. So imagine you have an ocean pouring into a little pot. What's going to happen?
Overflow.
It's going to overflow. So that explains why sometimes Prabhupada would be chanting, Jai Radha Madhava, and the tears would just come sideways out of his eyes like a water pistol, because that ocean is pouring into the pot in his heart. And it's just overflowing. It's just squirting out. Like devotees in front of him, around him, we're all getting wet. This is literal. It's not an exaggeration. The devotees sitting around Prabhupada's Vyasasan, his chair, seat, we're all getting wet by his tears shooting out of his eyes, because he got this ocean of love pouring into that pot, which is our heart, which is wanting love, desiring love, and Krishna's got unlimited love to give. Unlimited love to give, like the sun has got unlimited sunlight to give, keeps on coming, keeps on coming, keeps on coming. It's not like our little light bulbs, very limited. So it's unlimited like that. So that's what Krishna consciousness is about. We have to connect with that reservoir of pleasure. There is one little booklet that came out in Prabhupada's time. The booklet's called Reservoir of Pleasure. So we've got to understand that Krishna is he's the reservoir, means like an ocean. But not an ocean of salt water. He's like an ocean of bliss. He's like an ocean of bliss. So as soon as you connect with that ocean of bliss, you're always in bliss. Like Prabhupada was always in bliss. And the best way to do that is by hearing and chanting about Krishna. The more you hear and chant, the more blissful you'll be, because you're connected with that ocean of bliss. Anandam Bodhivardhanam Pradipadam Purnamadasvadanam Saratmasna Param Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So Lord Chaitanya left us with 8 verses. That's all he personally wrote, was 8 verses. It's called the Shikshastaka. So that in many temples is recited every morning, like that. But it's in the songbook also. But in the first verse it says like that, that this chanting of the holy names is like bathing the soul in an ocean of bliss, an ocean of nectar. This chanting, congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names is like bathing the soul in an ocean of nectar, ocean of bliss. So yeah, that's what it's all about. I remember sometimes Gail would speak to me after the Friday night kirtan and said, wow, and in the middle of that kirtan I went somewhere and it was just so blissful, and she was getting amazing experiences from that kirtan. She was completely blissed out so many times like that. So if we really tune in, if we know how to tune into that, then of course you won't get that full benefit if your mind is somewhere else in the kirtan. But if you really concentrate, and I've had that experience also, that you really concentrate on your japa or the kirtan or whatever it is talking going on, then it'll carry you to somewhere else, a place which is like an ocean of bliss, and like that. So that's what we should try to do. And that's what's recommended in the first canto of Bhagavatam, is this process of hearing with full attention, very carefully, hearing very carefully with full attention. That's what's going to give us the best result. So whatever you do, whether it's you're hearing someone speak, try to pay attention. Or you're chanting your rounds, pay attention. Or if there's someone's leading a kirtan, pay attention, like that. And like they say, if you snooze, you lose. If you snooze, you lose. If you're unconscious, then you weren't aware of what went on, so you missed out. So we should try to be, give our full attention and consciousness, and then we'll get the best results. Then you'll get the best results like that. One time, actually, there was one famous devotee. He worked so hard. His name was Jayananda. Not Janananda. Sounds like Janananda. Jayananda. So he's the one whose picture is on all the Rath carts whenever they have a Rath Yatra. He built the original Rath carts. He worked so hard, to build those carts, and he was a temple president, and he would fix all the cars, and he was working day and night and everything. And one time Prabhupada was giving a class, and he was at the back of the temple leaning up against the wall, which is also a no-no, because that's why it says in the Nectar Devotion you shouldn't lean against the wall. And the reason why that is very practical, because there's a good chance you'll fall asleep. So better you sit up straight rather than lean back like that. So Anyway, he was very tired, so he was leaning up against the wall and he was sound asleep in the class. And a devotee next to him saw that he was asleep and got a bit upset that he's sleeping in Prabhupada's class, so he was trying to wake him up. And Prabhupada saw from the other end of the room what he was doing, and he chastised the devotee that was waking him up. He said that Jayananda works harder than all of you put together. Just let him sleep. So that was an exception. That was an exception, but generally we should try to be fully awake, fully alert, like that. But for a pure devotee, even when he's asleep is service. Do you know that? Even a devotee sleeping is service. You know why?
So that he's got the energy to carry on the next day.
Yeah, so he gets more energy to do more service the next day. So even a devotee is sleeping because his whole body is dedicated to working for Krishna. So when his body needs some rest, that's also part of the service. It's not like the devotee's serving during the day and when he's asleep he's in Maya. No, that sleeping is also service because he's recharging the machine to do more work for his master the next day. So it was like that with Jayananda also. So in that way, the devotee is not in Maya. So even though he's in the material world, which generally we call as the world of Maya, but the pure devotee of the Lord, who's always, in Krishna consciousness, is not in Maya. But it's very difficult to overcome Maya. It's not easy. Prabhupada made many comments about Maya. One time he said that the trouble with you Westerners is, which we all fit in that category, even though Gulshan doesn't look like a Westerner, but he's been brought up in the Western society, isn't it? You were brought up since you're a knee-high to a grasshopper, and with Western morals and values like that, so very Westernized. So he said the trouble with you Westerners is you're not afraid of Maya enough. Did you get that? What did I say?
Not afraid, did you say?
Yeah. The trouble with you Westerners is you are not afraid of Maya enough. So what is that all about? That, we come to Krishna consciousness, we think, oh, well, I've surrendered to Krishna, I'm protected now I can do any damn thing, and Krishna will protect me. Does it work like that?
No.
Not quite. We're protected by Krishna as long as we work under his directions, work under his guidance, follow his directions. If we deviate from what he wants us to do, then we're on our own again. So we have to be careful. Like I said, right? If you whoever you meet, you talk to them about Krishna, he's going to protect you. If whoever you meet, you talk gossip, you're done. You're doomed. You're finished. Like that. Like Prabhupada said, the devotees talking gossip in the next room, he said, this will destroy the movement. So then back to Maya, then crash, your wheels hit the ground. You took off when you became Krishna conscious and started following Krishna, you took off the ground, you're off the ground. But then if you go back to old habits, then your wheels hit the ground again. So what's that?
You bloop.
You blooped. Yeah, that's it, Rob. That's the right terminology. You bloop, fell down, fell down. Yeah. So, yeah, we have to be very careful not to fall down. So Prabhupada was very concerned when he saw like these old habits coming back, like if he saw devotees that started to sleep in and weren't getting up early in the morning, he would be very concerned. And he would say like, we have to get out of here, otherwise you're going to fall down. One time they were staying with some Indian people and they just stayed one night. And the next day, none of the devotees got up early in the morning. They were all snoring late. And Prabhupada said, we have to get out of here, otherwise you're all going to fall down. That's just from one day, of not getting up in the morning. He was very concerned.
It's like a termite.
Like what?
Like a termite.
Termite.
Yeah, it just white ants. Once they go in there, just eat the whole tree.
Eat everything up. Yeah. Prabhupada said it's like not being careful with Maya is like if you leave your windows and doors open or unlocked at night, the thief can just come in while you're asleep and steal everything. So you have to be very careful to lock your doors and windows to protect yourself from the thief, right? So the same way with Maya, you have to be very careful to have that, Krishna's protection, Krishna's security. One time Prabhupada said, if Maya is the controller of the illusory energy is a woman, and she's the wife of Lord Shiva. She has many names, Durga, Parvati, Kali. She's got so many names, so many forms, and she's very powerful. So she's the goddess in charge of the material world and keeping everyone in illusion. That's her job. That's her job portfolio, to keep everyone in illusion. So she's very powerful. And one time Prabhupada said, if Maya just casts a sidelong glance,
oh yeah,
then you're done. You're gone. That's it. Finish. Women are famous for just like looking out of the corner of their eyes at a man. They're quite famous for that, and it's very attractive to the man to see those sidelong glances of a beautiful woman.
I'm not that lucky in that moment. Nobody's seen me like that way. In 50-something years.
That's Krishna's protecting you. Because Krishna has greater plans for you, Gulshan. Rather
it's other way. I look at that way. Sideways, I look at for the woman sideways.
It doesn't work the other way. The man can't look sideways at a woman. That doesn't work. But if a woman looks sideways at the man, then he's finished.
Oh well, I'm gonna look at every woman today to see that anyone can look at me sideways or not.
So yes, and he said, if Maya looks at you sideways, then just glances at you, just a quick look at you, then you immediately will fall down. He said the only reason why you haven't fallen down is because you are protected, because you chant Hare Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is protecting you from Maya. He said that's why. Prabhupada said the only reason why you can stand up in Krishna consciousness is because Lord Chaitanya is pleased that you're chanting Hare Krishna. So, and Radhanath Maharaj had commented that in his observations over many years, that before any devotee fell down, he noticed that they stopped chanting their prescribed rounds, 16 rounds, they stopped chanting. And then after that, they fell away. So it's not that I'm Krishna conscious because I'm a great devotee, because I'm a powerful devotee, because I'm a good soul, or I'm a Mahatma, or whatever like that. It's just because we're chanting Hare Krishna, and Krishna's protecting us. So, we shouldn't take it for granted. Oh, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 30 years. If I don't chant for a day or 2 or 3 or whatever from now on, then it doesn't really matter. It does matter. It does matter. It doesn't matter how long you've been chanting for. You've got to keep chanting until when? When is it okay to stop chanting?
Till your last breath in your body.
Yeah, till the last breath. Until you can't chant anymore.
On that time, you can only hear.
Yeah, and even then, sometimes like someone's dying, they can't vocalize the chanting, but they can still hear. Actually, it's said that usually the last sense to go before someone dies, the last sense to go usually is the ears. That's the last one that is working, is the ears. Therefore, hearing is the most important process. Hearing is so valuable, so important. Yeah.
Why does Krishna make it so hard for us to come to him if he wants us to come to him? Why does he make Maya so powerful?
There was a big Pandal program. Means in India there was a big tent program with like 10,000 people or whatever in it. And one guy in the tent, he also asked a similar question. He said, why did Krishna make Maya so powerful, make it so difficult? No, you see it. Why is Maya so strong? As Prabhupada took it as a criticism against Krishna. that he doesn't know how to set things up. He's made Maya like too strong for us to overcome Maya. So the man said, why is Maya so strong? And Prabhupada shot back at him. He put his hand right out and pointed at the guy and said, it's not that Maya is too strong, but your desire is not strong enough. So he turned it backwards. He turned it around on the guy. So it's not that Maya is too strong, but it's that our desire is not strong enough. You know, we have to make our desire more strong, like that. So it's not, so it means what Prabhupada is saying is the fault is not with Krishna in designing Maya as so strong, but the fault is in our court, that we're just, our desire is too weak. It's not strong enough. You know, so we have to make the desire stronger. And how do you make the desire to serve Krishna and surrender to Krishna stronger? What's some things that can help make that our desire stronger to serve Krishna and surrender? Yeah, chanting, yeah, definitely. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, association with devotees. Yeah, associating with devotees. There's a verse, Bengali verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita saying, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi Hoy, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. What is it? Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi Hoy, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi. Something like that. It's basically saying anyway that if you associate with devotees of the Lord, even for a moment, and a moment, as it's called lava matra, that's 1/11th of a second. If you associate with devotees, even for 1/11th of a second, a moment, that can give you Sava Siddhi, all perfection, just by associating with devotees, even for a short time. So yeah, chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees, like that. I mean, where did we get the idea from to chant Hare Krishna?
From Chaitanya.
Oh, did you personally see Lord Chaitanya and told you to chant Hare Krishna?
No, I wasn't there on the day, but the whispers it was him.
I think some of his followers told you. Yeah, some of his followers, yeah. So the devotees, you know, the devotees told us about prasadam, the devotees told us about chanting, the devotees told us about Krishna, the devotees told us that we're not the body, they told us that you're an eternal soul, they told us that this is a world of illusion and we have to get out of it, like that. So everything is coming from the devotees giving us good instruction. So yeah, that's a very important way that we can build up our desire to get free from Maya, is in the association of devotees, you know, sincere devotees. Not the devotees that talk prajalpa, you know, gossip, but the serious devotees that talk about Krishna and everything like that, you know, that is the association. We should hanker for that. One time Prabhupada said liberation. He gave a very fascinating definition of liberation, different than what we'd expect. He said liberation means when you're hankering for the association of devotees. Wow, that's far out, huh? That's cool. Liberation
is when you're hankering.
Is when you're hankering. It means you really want it, right? When you really strong desire for the association of devotees. If you have that, then you got Krishna. You got Krishna in your hand. If you've got devotee association, because having devotee association means you've got people around you that are talking about Krishna. You got people around you that are chanting Hare Krishna. You got people around you that are cooking prasad and are going to feed you. You know, you got people around you that are worshipping Krishna and the deities and everything like that. You know, you got people around you that are protecting the cows and serving the cows and milking the cows, you know, which are all wonderful things, which, you know, are very essential for Krishna consciousness. And the people around you that are going to say, hey, boy, I haven't seen you for a few days. And Maya, what's going on? You know, so they're going to pull you up. Hey, is that a cigarette in your hand, boy? What are you doing? Are you in Maya? So that's good. We need that, you know, the people to pull us up, that if we go off track. Like when I forgot to offer respect to the spiritual master, Bob pulled me up. So that's good. This is what we need. We need someone, if you go off track, to put us back on track again. And if you're all by yourself, you don't have that. Of course, many of us, I mean, even us, you know, we live in a nice place, but my wife and I, you know, are very far away from devotees. But I would say that we feel that probably more than many other devotees, because we don't have much devotee association. We have to drive at least 5 hours, you know, to meet with devotees, you know, like that sort of thing. Or there is a smaller place, about 2.5 hours away, 3 hours away. But most of the devotees are 5 hours away, at least. So for us, when we see a devotee, it's like ecstasy. You know, we're so happy. And I invite devotees to come here. And I'm like begging, you know, nice devotees that I know, please come and stay. You know, you can be our guest and like that. And I'm very happy if I meet with devotees, you know, so we really appreciate the value of devotees. It's very important. Of course, even physically you can't be with devotees, but I mean, you're associating with Prabhupada by reading like his books, or like Bhagavad Gita, right? You're associating with Krishna and Arjuna like that. Vyasadeva has compiled it, so you're associating. So you can associate through the books too, even if you don't have physical association. Even imagine, say there's another lockdown and you can't go to the temple or whatever like that, but you can associate with these great souls, these great devotees by hearing from them. By hearing from them, getting instructions from them, and you feel their presence. Even Prabhupada, amazing, you know, he said, I never feel absent from my Guru Maharaj. Because his Guru, he said this like in the 1960s and 70s, right? But his Guru died, you could say, passed away in 1936, if I'm correct, in 1936. But Prabhupada's saying 30, 40 years later, I never feel the absence of my Guru. I never feel that he's not with me. Because I always remember his instructions. When I remember his instructions, I feel his presence. So that's how you can do it. It's very important to know. You can feel the presence of someone by remembering what they've told you. Did you get that? If you remember the devotee's words, if you remember the devotee's words or instructions to you, that brings the person into your consciousness, and you actually feel their association, feel their presence through remembering the instructions, the words of the person. So he said he always felt that his Guru was with him. Because, of course, Prabhupada dedicated his life to pleasing his Guru by following his instructions. What was his Guru's instructions to Prabhupada?
Spread that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to the West.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya.
Village.
And especially to the English-speaking world. So that's what he wanted. That was his instruction. That's what pleased him. And because Prabhupada dedicated his life to carrying out that instruction, he always felt the presence, the association of his Guru. And he said that. He never felt absence of his Guru. Even when he saw any one of his disciples, he immediately remembered his Guru. Do you know how that works? Whenever he had the association of his disciples, he felt his Guru's presence and mercy.
Wow.
Do you know what was the chain of thinking behind that just by seeing the disciple, you remember the Guru?
Because the same Guru, like, you know, that its connection is there, like two pillars, but the top bit is the same. So you can see the connection. Yes, same, you know, Guru brother. And you see the thinking about Guru. Yes. I can't explain, but I understand what you mean.
What Prabhupada said was that My Guru has sent all of you to help me carry out his instruction. So therefore, you are all my gurus. That's like just mind-blowing. But that's what's Prabhupada thinking, you know, that his spiritual master is watching over him and helping him to carry out the mission, very great mission that he'd sent him on. And he was helping in one way was by sending these souls, which became his disciples and helped him to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya all around the world. So he had great respect for all of his disciples, thinking that they were sent by my Guru Maharaj to help me to carry out this mission. So what an amazing consciousness, you know. So this is how to be Krishna conscious, you know, by always connecting everything with Krishna and the spiritual master, never forgetting Krishna and the spiritual master. Even if it was going to be a choice of remembering Krishna or remembering the spiritual master, probably the safest is at least if you can remember the spiritual master. You know, remember Prabhupada, remember the spiritual master. You know, it might be hard to remember Krishna sometimes because Krishna, isn't it, may seem very far away from us, very remote kind of person or whatever. But, you know, the spiritual master is in a way, it seems to be more closer and more easy to comprehend and everything like that. They lived amongst us, you know, in recent times and everything like that. And, you know, we've got the books here that he's written and everything, and we can watch his videos and everything like that. And, you know, so, and like that, if we can always remember the instructions of the spiritual master and nice devotees giving us good instructions, that will help us to be strong in Krishna consciousness, keep a very strong desire. And Krishna's saying in this verse, so yeah, if Maya is very difficult to overcome, but if you surrender to Krishna, you can easily, he's saying, easily. So Maya is very difficult to cross over. However, this is what seems like contradictory. Maya is difficult to cross over, but if you surrender to Krishna, it's very easy to cross over Maya. Very easy. So something very difficult on one side can become very easy on the other side. So without surrendering to Krishna, it's very difficult, or you could say impossible actually. It's impossible to get out of Maya without surrendering to Krishna. But if you do surrender to Krishna, then it's very easy. So something very difficult becomes very easy. And that analogy for that is like Maya is compared to an ocean. And can you cross over an ocean? Even if Bob is the #1 Australian swimming champion, then he still wouldn't be able to cross over the, you know, Pacific Ocean or Indian Ocean or whatever. Doesn't matter how good a swimmer you are, there's no way you're going to be able to cross over an ocean. However, it said the mercy of Krishna is like converting that ocean into just like a little puddle. Just like a little puddle, and compared to, you know, when a cow stands on the ground, it leaves a hole in the ground because, you know, they're super heavy, right? Cows are very heavy. And if the ground is a bit wet, you know, then their foot might sink, you know, into the ground so much, and that'll fill up with water. So it's compared to after you surrender to Krishna, that ocean of Maya shrinks up to just like that puddle of water in the hoof print of a cow or a calf. And even a little kid can walk over that. Even, you know, even a little kid can walk over that. So that's how something that's very big, very difficult, can become very small, very easy to overcome. And that's by Krishna's grace. Krishna's grace. Something very difficult can become very easy. Can become very easy. I know we've just finished up in our time, but we'll just finish with one verse, one of my favorite verses in the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, text 58.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Mm. So that's our choice. That's our option. You hear Krishna and you're Krishna conscious and you overcome all the obstacles. Obstacles means Maya. And then, but if you don't hear from Krishna, but act, act independently due to your false ego, then you're lost. Then you're, under the control of Maya. And Krishna is able to do that because he controls Maya. That's how it works. How is it that at one moment the Maya is a big ocean and another moment it's a little puddle of water in a calf? That's because Krishna's in control.
Mercy of Krishna.
Yeah, so by his mercy, he can make it as big as an ocean and you're completely stuffed. And by his mercy, he can make it as small as a puddle, and even a little baby can walk over it. That's no problem. That's because he's in control. Like it's saying in this verse, 7:14, that it's my divine energy. So Maya is his energy. It's under his control. He can make it such a big ocean that even the biggest swimmer is going to drown, and he can make it a little puddle that even a little kid can cross over it. So all you got to do is come under Krishna's shelter, and he's pleased with you, and then he's going to push the button to make it a puddle, not push the button to make it an ocean. So and if you displease him, he's going to push the button to make it as big as an ocean. So and then you're going to drown. So that's what it's all about. We want to try to act in such a way to please Krishna and get his mercy, like that. But even if he does make it as big as an ocean and we suffer, that suffering is also his mercy, because that suffering has what effect on us?
Makes us stronger and understanding more.
Okay. But also suffering makes us humble too, right?
Definitely makes us humble.
Makes us humble.
Yeah.
And the benefit of being humble is that when a devotee tries to give you some good advice, you might listen. But when you're proud, or we say puffed up, then you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen to a devotee. You only can listen to a devotee when you're humble. A proud person can't listen to a devotee. Many people actually had Prabhupada's association, but they didn't become devotees. Why? Because they were puffed up. But those that were humble, then when they had Prabhupada's association, they became devotees. Like that. So that's also Krishna's mercy when he pushes the button to increase the suffering of birth, old age, disease and death and so forth, because that gradually makes us more humble, and then that makes us more receptive to hear from the devotees. And then we've got to tick it out of here. Once you do that, once you start to carefully hear from the devotees what the process is of how to surrender to Krishna, then you're the way out becomes very clear, and then the water will shrink up. But so either way, whether you've got that, Maya's kicking you, it's a big ocean, or you're getting out very easily, it's all mercy. It's all Krishna's mercy. So in either way, thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, for giving me a few kicks and making me humble. And, thank you, Krishna, for giving me the association of devotees and helping me to surrender to you and go back home, back to Godhead.
Haribol.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hari.
Ram, Hare Hare.
That fully surrendered.
Yep.
Hands up.
See you next week.
Yes.
Hare
Take care, everyone.